How's it going, everyone? Welcome back into the channel. So in today's video, we're going to go over my instant thoughts and reactions on the Green Bay Packers Week 2 preseason game versus the New England Patriots. Now, first I want to talk about what happened tonight. Obviously, the game was ended short after the injury suffered to Isaiah Bolden. So I want to say first, prayers out to Isaiah Bolden. Hopefully the injury wasn't as bad as that looked. You know, it's all too often that we're seeing this type of thing in football, and it's definitely scary. For him to get hit like that, have to get pulled away on a stretcher. So prayers out to him and his family. I'm hoping he makes a full recovery. The Patriots actually just put out an update saying Patriots cornerback Isaiah Bolden sustained an injury during the fourth quarter of tonight's game. He had feeling in all his extremities, but it's been taken to the local hospital for further tests and observation. So it's definitely a good thing to hear that he has feeling in all his extremities. But, I completely understand this game being stopped, after that, something like that. And what is a quote-unquote meaningless preseason game? You don't want to see that in any game, nonetheless. I understand why that game was stopped. So again, just want to give my thoughts and prayers to Isaiah Bolden and his family. All right, so now let's dive into my instant thoughts and reactions on this game. So the score ended 21-17. Preseason score to me really doesn't matter as much. I'm more so watching the talent evaluation of the players. So obviously we're going to start with Jordan Love, finishing 5 for 8, 84 yards and a touchdown. Now his first drive was ruined by a bad snap by Josh Myers. So that's something that has been happening a lot. Fumbled snap exchanges in training camp, and Josh Myers has not looked good all of training camp, so much so that the Packers have put Zach Tom at center, and it seemed like it was kind of a competition there, but they moved Zach Tom to mainly right tackle now. He's been starting there since then. So it seems like they're going to have Zach Tom at right tackle to start the season, and my best guess is Josh Myers still starts at center to start the season. But if that continues to happen, becomes a problem into the regular season, they're obviously going to have to make a switch. Now, would that be Zach Tom going to center and Josh Nijman going to right tackle? That would be my guess, but I don't see that happening going into week 1. I still think Josh Myers is going to start at center. It still pains me, that they chose Josh Myers over Creed Humphrey, who's gone on to be one of the better centers in the league, but hindsight is 2020. Josh Myers, like I said, has not looked good in year 3 so far. I thought he had an average year last year, very inconsistent, had some games where he looked really good and some games where he looked really bad. I thought he showed promise his rookie season, and it's just weird for a guy to fall off this hard in his 3rd season. But hopefully he can turn it around because it's going to be very important for that center position. But right now, he is definitely the weak link on that offensive line. You Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins on the left side. That's locked down. John Runyon Jr. is a really solid guard, and Zach Tom has looked like the next Elton Jenkins over there at right tackle or any position you play him at. So right now, Josh Myers is definitely the weakest link on that line. So going back to Jordan Love, I thought he played well tonight. I thought he made some really good throws and, obviously scored a touchdown with the Jayden Reed's throw. And I'll talk about that one first because excellent throw by Jordan Love on that play. Play action, A.J. Dillon secures a really nice block, so shout out to A.J. Dillon on that play too, or else maybe that play doesn't even happen. He was very patient going through his reads and fired a laser across the left side to Jayden Reed, a perfect ball placement where Jayden Reed was able to go up and get it and cut right upfield for a touchdown. Jayden Reed has looked as advertised in both preseason games, and I'm so excited, and I talk about him so much. If you're, a viewer of this channel, you know how high I am on Jayden Reed, and he's looked exactly as I thought he would. That premier slot type of wide receiver across the middle of the field, clutch receiver on important downs. He's made 2 really nice catches across the middle. Last week, Clifford, threw him a high ball and he went up to get it. This week, that really nice throw by Jordan Love for a touchdown. Jayden Reed technically scoring his first NFL touchdown, albeit in a preseason game. He's looked excellent, and I'm so excited for what he can do for this offense, whether he's a motion guy, running routes out of the backfield, or just being that slot guy, that go-to guy on a 3rd and short that can, start to use the middle of the field more, which the Packers are starting to do, which I'm extremely excited for. Because I feel like under Aaron Rodgers, the middle of the field was definitely neglected. So I'm glad they got a couple guys, Jayden Reed, Luke Musgrave, that can start to really attack that middle of the field. As for some other throws Jordan Love made that I was very impressed with, there was a deep dig to Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs had an excellent day as well. The second leading receiver, 2 receptions for 52 yards. The deep dig to Romeo Doubs, first off, Dobbs did an excellent job shielding that defender away, but Love fired it in there to where only his receiver can get it, and Dobbs came down with that nice contested catch there for a crucial first down on 3rd down. And then also, obviously, that deep ball to Romeo Doubs. Kind of an underthrow by Jordan Love. I think if he put it out there, Dobbs might have hit his head on the goalpost and ran in for a touchdown. It was a little bit of an underthrow, so Dobbs definitely saved Jordan Love in that instance. First was ruled out, and I thought it was too, and I was like, oh, he didn't get both feet down. But further watching that review, it's so impressive. That catch was very impressive by Romeo Dobbs, and he's really impressed me this offseason with his contested catch ability. We saw him with a contested catch in training camp against Jair Alexander. There was a clip last week in Cincinnati across the middle, nice contested catch. And this week, obviously, an even better one up the sideline there. I think against Jack Jones, one of the Patriots' better cornerbacks, did really good tonight. I'm so excited to see what he can do in this offense as that primary type of possession type of wide receiver that can do everything, right? I think Romeo Dobbs is going to end up with the most targets as for wide receiver. Like Christian Watson will have the splash plays, the 80-yard touchdowns and whatnot, but I feel like Dobbs will definitely get most of the targets. Moving on to the running backs, obviously we got to talk about Emmanuel Wilson. Last week, after an extremely great performance, the 2 touchdowns, 110 yards, was kind of the front runner right now for running back 3, which is crazy because a couple weeks ago, I didn't even have him in the conversation. But after a great performance last week and another great performance tonight, 15 carries, 63 yards, got a lot of the snaps over Patrick Taylor. It's definitely going to come down to not only what a running back 3 can do in running, but what they can offer on special teams. And for me, Patrick Taylor still offers a lot more on special teams. He was one of the key Packers special teamers last year. I think he had a special teams tackle tonight. So it might come down to that and not just how the running back can run the football, because a running back 3 won't get many offensive snaps unless an injury happens. And, Lou Nichols and Tyler Goodson not playing tonight definitely drops their stock, and I'm huge on Tyler Goodson. If you watch his channel, talk about him a lot, and I think he has the most potential, but if he's not going to practice and he's not going to play, he's not going to make the roster. So right now, honestly, the front runner for running back 3, I think, is Emmanuel Wilson, just based off these first 2 preseason games, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree as well. Looking over the running stats, I also wanted to talk about that one run by Jordan Love. I think he's going to have a lot of rushing yards this year. He could even have upwards of 600 rushing yards. His athleticism, he has a ton of speed and athleticism. He ran right up the middle after the pocket kind of collapsed a little bit, put a stiff arm on, ran for a first down. Then the Patriots defender dove on him, which was a dirty play, but nonetheless, good run by Jordan Love. He's going to be moving around a lot this season, and I think it's going to be, an underrated part of his game, his athleticism and his ability to run. I also thought Sean Clifford also had another solid game. 13 of 19, 137 yards. Didn't have any interceptions like last week. Didn't have any touchdown passes, and obviously the game ended short, and he would have had maybe a couple more drives. But again, just firing the ball into spots that he wants to go and finding his wide receivers. Hit Malik Heath a lot, Grant DeBose a lot. And I think he just looks good. He's making decisive throws. He has athleticism. He can move around the pocket. He looks like a solid backup. And, he's definitely proven me wrong as that 5th-round selection that I was kind of questioning. And he's definitely locked in as the quarterback 2 right now. So as for wide receivers, obviously we got to talk about Malik Heath. And I'll definitely eat crow on him right now because I was not impressed with his college tape. I was kind of questioning, why is this guy getting hyped up so much? But ever since preseason, man, this guy's been making plays. 5 receptions, 75 yards tonight, just making plays. And one thing that I did love from his college tape, was his physicality. I said, this guy does not shy away from physicality and contact, and that has definitely proved to be true tonight, making some impressive catches, lowering his shoulder on guys and whatnot, and fighting through contact. Grant DeBose, same tonight. He made a couple good catches where he got hit right as he caught it and held onto the football. Those 2 guys, I think, improved their stock to make this roster, both DeBose and Malik Heath. We got to monitor that DeBose injury, but right now it's like, can you keep Malik Heath off this roster as wide receiver 6? Moving over to the defensive side of the ball, obviously we're going to talk about Kingsley Enagbare first, who was my player of the day. 2 sacks, one of which was a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. Also had a special teams tackle. He had a great week of training camp, and is starting opposite Preston Smith during some of the practices, and started again tonight opposite Preston Smith and showed out. Just showing the depth the Packers have at that edge room with him, Justin Hollins, Lucas Van Ness, and obviously when Rashawn Gary ends up returning. They have a lot of guys, and the pressure that this Packers front 7 is creating so far this season has been outstanding. Like, the Packers front 7 looks a lot better and a lot more talented than it has in years past. And we haven't even had Rashawn Gary with these guys yet, right? So, we haven't seen him at all. Hopefully he'll be able to play week 1. But Kingsley Enagbare, definitely the player of the day for me, and obviously the player of the day on defense. Definitely showed out tonight, and showing that he's still in competition for that edge starting spot opposite Preston Smith to start the year. Some other players I was impressed with tonight: Jimmy Phillips at inside linebacker. Obviously with Devondre Campbell being out, more snaps go to Isaiah McDuffie, Eric Wilson, Tariq Carpenter. But Jimmy Phillips Jr. has been having a very good camp, and he's really not being talked about that much. Now, I don't think he'll make the roster just because he has a tall hill to climb, but he definitely could be that practice squad inside linebacker, for this season. Tariq Carpenter, I saw miss a few tackles tonight. I don't really know what the Packers are doing with him, where he really fits. I think he's just a special teamer. But yeah, Jimmy Phillips, I thought had a good night. I thought Anthony Johnson Jr. had a really good night too. He made a really nice pass breakup on the right sideline and was flying around the field. So he looked really good. And also, obviously, got to talk about my main man, Carl Brooks, who I'm super high on. If you guys watched my mock drafts, I always mocked him to the Green Bay Packers, or did multiple times, even in the 3rd round. That's kind of where I had him. Then he falls to the 6th round in this draft, and the Packers pick him up, and I was so ecstatic that they were able to snag him in the 6th round, just straight up produced at Bowling Green. And this dude lives in the backfield. He had a would-be sack that was called back on a Shamar Jean-Charles, I believe, PI, which still a sack in my book. But then he had a tackle for loss in the backfield. He had a couple other pressures. This dude just keeps living in the backfield. During all of training camp, he's been in the backfield. And then tonight, we saw that showcased against, another team live action. This guy's going to be an excellent rotational defensive lineman. Obviously, Devontae Wyatt, Clark, and Slayton are the starters, but they're going to rotate Wooden, who also had a good night, and Carl Brooks in a lot. And I'm super excited about this Packers defensive line depth and what they're going to be able to do this year. A player I thought that had a rough night was Shamar Jean-Charles. We mentioned that PI he had on that Carl Brooks would-be sack. Also had a penalty on special teams. If he's going to want to make the roster, man, having 2 penalties in a game like this is not the way to do it. He had to step up tonight, I thought, with Corey Ballantyne being out. He didn't do that. So I don't, as of right now, have him on my 53-man roster. Obviously, Carrington Valentine right now is that cornerback 4 if Eric Stokes doesn't start on the 53. And Valentine, in my opinion, tonight had an up-and-down day. Still showcased his ability to make plays, but did get beat a couple times. But I wouldn't put him as like a bad game or a great game by any means. But Valentine has looked great all training camp, especially for a 7th-round rookie. He's just looked very, very promising, and he still made some nice plays tonight. To wrap things up, talking a little bit about Anders Carlson, I was saying it at my pregame stream. The fact that he had a bad game against the Bengals, I was like, he's going to make every kick tonight because he's that type of inconsistent kicker. And he did exactly that. Made 2 PATs. And of course, that 52-yard field goal, that probably would have been good from 60 yards. So again, the inconsistencies just shine, considering, such a bad game last week. And then this week, perfect, right? So, it's going to be a up and down thing with Anders Carlson all year. There's going to be times where he misses easy kicks, and there's going to be times where he hits a 55-yarder. It's going to happen all year, and we're just going to have to live with it because it seems like that is our kicker, and that's what it is. There's no competition. Anders Carlson's going to be the kicker week 1. But that about does it for my entire recap of the game today, my instant thoughts and reaction. Let me know your thoughts on this preseason game down in the comments below. And also, if you are a new viewer, go down and click that subscribe button if you want to stay in the loop with everything Green Bay Packers. I post it right here on this channel. You'll have everything from news, analysis, updates, live streams, training camp, highlights, and recap all on this channel. But that about does it for this video. I appreciate you guys stopping by. If you could leave a like, it supports my channel a ton. But I'll catch you on the next one. And as always, go Pack Go.